After installing the Norman Security Suite, the Norman Personal Firewall wizard launches to assist you in setting up basic rules for your firewall. Let's click Next to start the configuration. The first step is to select your user level. The Inexperienced User option uses a set of predefined rules to minimize user interaction with the firewall. The Experienced User option will give you more advanced options during setup and use of the firewall. We will be using the Inexperienced User option for this tutorial, as this will be sufficient for most of our users. So I'll select the Inexperienced User option and click Next to continue. New in this version is the Basic and Normal Mode options from the Inexperienced User option. Basic mode keeps you safe from attacks from the outside, but it does not check outgoing traffic from your computer. With this option, you'll not receive pop-ups from the firewall asking you to allow outgoing traffic. The traffic will just be let through the firewall. While normal mode will, in addition to preventing attacks from the outside, also check outgoing traffic from your computer. This will require more user interaction with the firewall and require a more experienced user, as you'll need to take a stand whether or not to allow an application access to the network. This option will cause pop-ups from the firewall asking you whether or not to allow an application access to the network. We'll select normal mode for the rest of this tutorial, but you can just as well use basic mode if you're not too confident of your own user level. And note, when I click normal mode, you'll see that I can click finish. Doing so makes Norman Personal Firewall use default values for the rest of the setup, but we will go through the complete configuration in this presentation instead. So I'll click Next to continue. Norman Personal Firewall will display a list of web browsers discovered on the computer. The checkmark in front of the web browser indicates that it will be allowed internet access. If your preferred browser does not appear in the list, click Add Other Browser and select the browser executable you wish to add. If you don't use one or more of the listed browsers, you can deselect them here. If you deselect a web browser, it will not be permitted access to the network without user interaction. Click Next to continue. Norman Personal Firewall now lists the email clients discovered on your computer. If you wish to add an additional email client, you can click Add Other Email Clients and browse to the program executable. Click Next to continue. Here we can configure the two advanced options of the firewall setup for the Inexperienced User option, which is Windows file sharing and the use of a network printer. If you're not sure if you use Windows file sharing or network printer, I suggest you leave these enabled and click Next to continue. Norman Personal Firewall will list other known applications that may require internet access. You can deselect applications you don't use and don't need internet access for, or you can just leave them enabled if you're unsure. Click Next to continue. When you click Finish, the firewall creates the rules based on your input and is ready for use. So I'll click Finish, and my firewall is ready and set up.